crazy ass story time about how my best friend's parents walked in on me sleeping with my best friend's brothers. And yes, I said brothers. So my freshman year, I became best friends with this girl. And she had two older, hot ass brothers. One was in college, and one was a senior. Well, it was Christmas break, and her older brother from college was home. And my parents let me go with them to Florida for Christmas break. They had a super nice beach house, and I was sharing a room with my best friend. And the boys were sharing a room. And our room was connected because there was a bathroom in the middle. Well, my best friend got super sick the first 3 days of the trip, so she didn't do anything with us. So I was hanging out with the boys all the time. Well, the one night we were on the deck and we started to play Truth or Dare. And one of them asked, "Would you sleep with us?" And I said, yeah. So at around 3 a.m., I snuck into the room and things started to get real nasty. There are kids on this app, so just use your imagination. And things started to get really loud and we woke their parents up, like for part 2.
Finally, Chelsea is back. So many of you have been messaging me for an update, and I'm sorry this took so long to upload, but she's back with 2 months worth of growth, absolutely no chips, just extremely long curved inward nails. To fix that, we decided to change her shape to almond, and because they grew out so nicely, I could make them more pointy, which is her preferred shape. Her nails needed some major work. I cleaned her crusties, and as many of you know, one of her middle fingers grows extremely crooked, so I had to fix that, and she let me this time. Oh, and by the way, we're doing a spring set today, telling you this because the rest of the video will be tea and unrelated to nails. The last time she came in, she told me her husband didn't like how long our appointments were because it takes time away from her being with the baby. During her appointment, she told me she put her foot down. She read all your comments and agreed that her nails are her me time and she's allowed to take time for herself to relax a bit. She's back to work now and she goes into the office every day but had to hire a babysitter because although her husband works from home, he can't watch the baby, which is understandable. He apparently got mad at her for wanting to go back to work. His assumption was that she'd be a stay-at-home mom, saying his salary is enough for both of them. But Chelsea said she's never depending on a man again.
Storytime, I didn't know that I was dating my best friend's brother. So a little background information, I was 17 and a junior in high school. And I know you guys are probably thinking, how the fuck didn't you know that you were dating your best friend's brother? And we're gonna call my best friend Rima and we're gonna call her brother Alex. So I had met Alex whenever I was in 5th grade. We never hung out outside of school. We were more of just like friends in school. But I only met Rima last year. Also, Alex was a year older than us. Well, one of the art teachers who usually taught the senior class, she just gave birth to her baby, so they decided to mix both of our classes, aka the one that Alex was in. Well, my art teacher decided to pair us all into partners and have us do an art project. So I got paired up with Alex. Fast forward, we end up liking each other and we start dating. And usually whenever Rima and I hung out, we would always hang out over my house because she said her family was annoying. And Alex and I would only hang out during school, like for part 2.
Anonymous story time. The first and last time I did this girl's nails, she came in with 2 of her friends. One of her friends started touching my things and kind of snooping around. From the corner of my eye, I seen her touch her purse. She would turn around to look at her friends and say, "Oh my god, look at this color, it's so pretty." She then walked over to the coat rack where my purse was hanging. She started saying, "Wow, it's getting really warm in here. Do you mind turning down the heater just a little bit, please?" I was like, "Oh yeah, give me a minute," and I walked out of the room. I heard her say pretty loud, "I'm gonna take off my sweater." When I come back, they're all acting really weird. I'm trying to finish this girl's nails and I overhear one of the friends whisper to the other friend, "Just put it all back." I am so stupid for thinking these girls would not steal from me. I finish up the girl's nails, she pays me, thanks me, says how much she loves them, and then they all walk out. As I'm cleaning up, I start counting my money and I realize that the $100 bill she gave me says play money. Then I notice I have gels and glitters missing. I look everywhere and realize this bitch took my shit. I check my purse and all my cash is missing. I tried to contact the girl and I'm blocked.
Story time about how I was voted the ugliest girl in high school. Disclaimer is not my story time, I sent me on Instagram. Growing up, I was really awkward. My parents always used to call me the ugly duckling, but my dad told me not to worry that when I would grow up, I would become beautiful. Honestly, this really stuck to my head, and I am very beautiful now. I used to have braces, acne. My hair has always been curly, but I didn't know how to treat it back then. My mom had really straight hair, so she had no idea how to do my hair either. And this was the toughest thing for me. I would show up to school with knots in my hair because I didn't even know how to brush it. Eventually, my mom did start taking better care of my hair, which really helped. I also didn't didn't know how to dress for my body. I wore big hoodies, big t-shirts, while the other girls in my high school dressed for their body type. I honestly just had no clue. I did get bullied, but mostly by boys. I think the girls probably just felt bad for me, so I never really had problems with other girls. A group of boys would always bother me. One of them even asked me out pretending that he wanted to go out with me. Of course I said yes because I actually believed him. He asked me to go to the movies, and when I showed up, he wasn't there. I decided to go watch the movie anyway, but the next day in school, I couldn't hear the end of it. To my face, this guy called me stupid.
My first time making nails. I am doing it on my sister. She likes it long. Oh no! Much better. Adding some pink color. What made me think I can start from there? My favorite part. Adding white glitter. Rate it.
Story time! So this situation happened when me and my friend group had just started 7th grade. And one of my friends in the group had already gotten detention for not finishing her homework. And keep in mind that this was a very strict teacher, so no one liked him. We'll call him Mr. Brown. So when the class found out that Mr. Brown gave Sophie detention for not finishing her homework, everyone thought that it was really unfair. A couple weeks go by and Sophie hated the teacher. And I'm pretty sure he hated all of us too. So then this one day, me, Sophie, and the rest of the group decided that we were tired of going to Mr. Brown's class just to get yelled at, so we decided that we were going to skip his class for that day. At the end of the period, we were walking to our next classes when we ran into Mr. Brown. He called us and pulled us aside, and he asked us where we were and why we weren't in his class today. We told him that we had all gone to the office, but he didn't believe us, so he gave all of us detention except for Sophie. In front of all of us, he told her to meet up with him after school and that she was going to spend detention in his class while we had it in a different class across the school. Story time! Make sure to grab a snack, sit back, and relax because this one is a crazy story. So I had a best friend in 7th grade until about my junior year in high school, and me and her did just about everything together, and we were always hanging out. We'll go ahead and call her Chloe. So Chloe always had the nicest things. She had really pretty clothes. She had the newest cell phones all the time, and overall she was just very spoiled, right? And one of the craziest things that was given to her was a car at 14 years old. Yes, she was very young with a brand new car, but her stepdad taught her how to drive. So now the more I would hang out with Chloe, the more I began to realize that she treated her stepdad really bad. She would call him stupid in front of everybody. It didn't matter who was there. And I also noticed that she would yell at him really bad. It was almost to the point where she was screaming. But besides all of that, me and Chloe did end up being really close friends. And because we were really close friends, we would tell each other all of our secrets. And I remember this one time when we were hanging out, she ended up telling me one of her secrets. Just a trigger warning because it's kind of bad. Her biggest secret was that she would do the you-know-what with her stepdad in order to...
My daughter made me cry for the first time in my life. I, 28 female, have a 13-year-old daughter. I had her when I was 15 after I was raped by someone who I thought was my friend. My daughter doesn't know this and I decided not to tell her. Keep it in mind. Well, I also have a sister, 35 female. She's honestly the best sister I could ever ask for. Now for an explanation. I was picking my daughter up from school and she seemed like she was in a bad mood, so I wanted to do something that would cheer her up. I asked her if she wanted to go to the mall or go out to the Chinese restaurant she loves. She told me no because my sister had promised to take her to the movies, so I told her I'd drive her to the movies. She then told me no again and to drop her off at my sister's house, so I agreed. 3 hours later, she came home and was happier now. I asked if the movies were fun, but she just ignored me and went to her room instead. I thought this was weird because she normally always tells me how fun the movies are or whenever she goes somewhere with my sister. So I called her down for dinner and she came down and walked right past me to grab her jacket and shoes. Obviously confused, I asked her where she was going. She said she was going to get Mexican food with my sister. I told her I had already made dinner and she got...
Chelsea is back. I haven't seen her since the end of September, so she cheated on me 3 times since our last appointment. And she came back with crooked nails. I don't remember leaving them like this. And usually I'm understanding about clients going to other techs because our schedules may not align all the time. But when we got to talking, she said she went to her local salon because they now offer Russian manicures and hard gel for, and I quote, really fast and cheap. She also asked me not to fix any of the crooked nails and to just file them, paint them as they are, and to preferably take only an hour and a half. At this point, I started getting a little upset because it's not great to hear, especially when she came back with bubbly and crooked nails. I asked if it was money problems because then I'd understand, but she said no, it's because my husband thinks you take too long and it takes away from me being with the baby. At this point, I was a little shocked. I asked her if she's okay and about her mental health because based on how she made it seem, she does everything plus works on top of it. She did open up about a few things, which I won't be sharing, but I'm glad she's okay and we discussed it.
Client story time. So we had a client who came in many years ago and got a full set of bougie designs and a pedicure. Her hands alone took about 3 hours because that is how intricate her designs were. Keep that in mind. When it came for time to check out and pay, she started looking through her bag and chucking everything around and saying, "Oh my God, I think someone stole my wallet and I don't have Apple Pay on my phone." She said, "Can I please go and do cardless cash out? I'll leave my AirPods here so you don't think I'm running away." We said, "Sure, of course, no problem." Left her AirPods there. She went to do cardless cash out and she did not come back. And then 3 months later, she